What's up? What's up? We're not early, but we're not super late either. So the Onewheel, the best purchase I've ever made in my life. Literally the best purchase. We're not on Kick right now. They're having some issues with the streaming platform. I'm going back there for weekend shows, but we're not on it right now because when I send my connection to it, it defaults to the lowest quality that you could possibly put on it, and they're supposed to be fixing that. I talked to customer service last weekend, and they're supposed to be fixing it, but I did an unlisted test stream, and it's not fixed yet, so... But we'll be going back to Kick. I enjoy it, and we can play copywritten stuff there and stuff we can't play on YouTube. I wrote it. I wrote it with Liam today and taught him how to write it for a while, and then after his legs kind of got tired, because again, it's muscles you don't typically use. I brought it here, charged it at the office, and then I rode it through 2 charging cycles. So from 100% down to, I don't know, like 10, 15%, twice. It was pretty fun. Liam just barely got to where he can ride without holding on to me. So I was basically like walking beside him, holding both his hands, then one of his hands. And he did a couple rides without touching me at all. But there's still times where he panics. And instead of like just stopping, he wants to like reach out for me. And that throws him off balance and makes the thing go crazy. On one charge, you can ride, I don't know, 10 miles or something, but I don't ride like that because I'm practicing, learning. So on one charge, I could probably ride for like 2 hours because I'm just riding around the parking lot slow. Probably longer, probably more closer to 3 hours. Like ride for a little bit, stop, get a drink or whatever, hang out, let my leg muscles relax and hop back on it. There's 2 businesses to the south of me, then 2 businesses to the north of me, and I've been riding from all 5 businesses, like through their parking lot and sidewalk and stuff, then turning around and coming back. Man, it's so much fun. It's a lot like snowboarding, I guess, and I haven't been snowboarding since I was in high school, but... Yeah, I figured it would be my core, but it's not. Like, if you don't know, I'm fat and vape. But it doesn't, like, my abs don't hurt or something. Like, I'm trying to think of what's like a real bad core workout. Like riding a mechanical bull or something. This is all in my legs. So it's like, in between my calves and my ankles, it gets real sore. And I'll go so far that they'll even start like shaking just because I'm not used to it. And then on both sides of my knee, like where your ACL, MCL would be, like the stabilizing muscles on your knees, those get really worn out. And then, of course, just your calves, just from turning. There is a little girl in the campground that already has one, and she's probably like 10, and she could ride circles around me. So I think Liam hopefully will pick it up soon. Let me see. Let me pause this. That's that. I love it. I love it. I got to buy another one, obviously, because I didn't know if Liam would like it at all, because if he gets too scared of something, he just won't ever try it. But I kind of forced him onto it. And he hasn't fallen yet. My worst fear is that he'd fall immediately and be like, I don't want to get on it anymore and get hurt or something. I don't want to ever get on it again. But he hasn't fallen yet, so I think he's going to learn to love it. And then we're both going to need one so we can ride together and go our separate ways at times. So I'm going to have to buy another one, but I'll be looking for used ones, I guess.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that.
Will be here Wednesday. How to buy
Never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Will Bird. This is the Cold Beer Confessional. Here's what a nice one will. You know, you guys saw how beat up mine is. This one doesn't have a fender on it. It's got a magnetic fender, so they just popped it off. But here's what it looks like when they're like nice, right? So mine's all beat to shit. But that's so it's got like nice rails, foot pads. It's got a new tire on it. That's why one looks like it's nice. I'll probably make some content around it, to be honest with you. Whether that'd be like TikTok or YouTube Shorts or maybe the Cold Beer Creations channel, because either I'm going to upgrade the one I've got because I'm a bigger guy, so I don't get as good as like the distance as they say. It's not as fast. It's not as have as high as top speed, and it won't go as far, so I don't get the range. So I'll probably do some upgrades to mine, but I just want Liam on a stock one. That way, if for some reason the upgrades mess with any of the safety, at least I know he's got the safer one, right? But yeah, they can look pretty nice. And some people go to extremes like customizing them or whatever. I also found out that I couldn't figure out whether I wanted like a lower tire pressure, because we were riding in gravel today. That's Liam learned in gravel, which hell, I could barely ride in the gravel. It's not as easy as riding in a parking lot, but he's learning. I couldn't really figure out the tire pressure, and then I finally found online it's just 10% of your body weight. So if you're 250, 25 pounds, and it can handle up to like 60 pounds in this tire, even though it's small. But like Liam, I have to let the pressure out for him, which would be nice when he has his own. But like Liam probably weighs like 130 pounds, so he needs like 13 PSI. And the lower the PSI, the more, there's no suspension on these. So basically the tire absorbs bumps and stuff. So if you're smaller and you have a lower PSI tire, then you got more give in it, right? So if you hit a bump, you don't feel it as bad, or if you go over a rock, plus it gets more grip. But the things are pretty insane. Like I've been watching some other people do it. So I didn't know this before I bought it, but my nephew sent me a thing that back in 2022, I think, they had to recall all of them. And you had to sit them back. So remember the other day I was telling you guys about pushback. So what that is like if you're going too fast, you're straining the batteries too much, the motor gets too hot or whatever. Let's say you're riding and you tip it this way to go forward. So you're leaning forward. The board, the computer in it will tip the nose up to tell you something's wrong. It's called pushback. Well, before they had that, I guess they just had like a little beep or something. Instead of pushing itself up, it just beep. and people were ignoring it. And I guess 4 people died on them. So he sent me an article. I can open it up. Hold on. And that's when they recalled them and put pushback on it. And pushback is literally like lifting the nose up and telling you, hey, something's going on. Now, it could be like you're out of battery. You could be going over speed, too fast or whatever. The only way really to get hurt on it is if you ignore that, which I don't plan on ignoring. Hell, I usually, my average speed is like 10 miles an hour. So I don't even get close to like the top speed, which is like 18, 19, something like that. So I don't really have to worry about it. I don't even get close to it, right? If I was like, I guess a daredevil or something pushing it all the time, I might be worried about it. But I guess a couple people were basically on it, and well, I guess 4 people died. So at least 4 people were on it, and they were basically going wide open. And this was before it would lift the nose and tell you something was wrong. So instead of like the batteries bursting into flames, right, or whatever is going to happen, it sends you a warning, but it would just beep, and maybe they didn't hear it. It just stops while you're full speed, while you're leaning forward. Say you're doing 25 miles an hour. You're full speed, you're leaning forward, and it just turns off to keep the batteries safe so they don't catch on fire. And you can imagine the nose just digs into the ground and you flip over top of it. So they had some people die, and that was part of the recall thing. Let me share this right quick. There it is, right quick. You heard it here first, folks. He sent me an article on people dying. Also, there has been, I guess they call him a local legend. I'd never really heard about him too much. But there was this local guy to here. They called him Shoestring, that I guess was missing for a couple days. So he was missing for a couple days, and I guess they found him dead in the lake. The guys, he was like a drifter type guy. Like he rode the rail cars, and he would come through, and people knew him by name. They called him Shoestring or whatever. But yeah, it was just it was a voluntary recall, I guess, not a forced recall. But yeah, they called him Shoestring, and he was I guess he died. I don't know if they think it's like murder or suspicious, or he just died near the lake and fell in. I don't know. So here was the recall. Future Motion recalls one-wheel self-balancing electric skateboards due to crash hazard. 4 deaths reported. The skateboards can stop balancing the rider if the board's limits are exceeded, posing a crash hazard that can result in serious injury. So again, this was before they had the pushback. So pushback is like when you're going too hard, too fast, whatever. It lifts your nose up and beeps. You can hear it. It's going beep, 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 and it lifts up. But I guess we're doing this. It says, description. The U.S., this was 2021 or 2022, I think. I don't see a date on it. Oh, 2023, I guess. September of last year. Washington, D.C., the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, CPSC, that's also the place I had to make sure my helmet had a CPSC rating. And Future Motion of Santa Cruz, California, announced a recall of 300,000 one-wheel self-balancing electric skateboards. The skateboards can stop balancing the rider if the board's limits are exceeded, posing a crash hazard that can result in a serious injury or death. Future Motion has received dozens of reports of incidents involving electric skateboards, including 4 reported deaths between 2019 and 2021, and injuries such as traumatic brain injury. I already have one of those. Concussion, plenty of those. Paralysis, not yet. Upper body fractures, tons. Lower body fractures, yep. And ligament damage, sure. I got all those. Everything but paralysis. The reported deaths resulted from head trauma, and in at least 3 of those incidents, the rider was not wearing a helmet. I think the 4th one, it wasn't that he was wearing a helmet. It was that he couldn't be confirmed whether he was wearing a helmet or not. Future Motion and the CPSC encourage all riders to wear personal protective equipment while riding. Consumers should immediately stop using the recalled one-wheel electric skateboards. Consumers with the Onewheel GT, Onewheel Pine X, Onewheel Pine, Onewheel Plus XR electric skateboarders should download or update the Onewheel app. So it was a voluntary recall, but if you use the Onewheel app, I don't know when the last time this board's been ridden. Obviously, you know that I bought it just a couple days ago, but the guy who had it couldn't ride it. He said he knew it worked, but that was it. I was forced to update it before I could use the app on it because I wanted to see if the batteries are good, how many miles it had on, all that stuff. As soon as I turned on the app, I was forced to watch 2 safety videos that I had to say, yes, I agree. I did watch this video. You couldn't skip them. You couldn't skip through them. You couldn't get past them. You couldn't exit out. I had to watch 2 safety videos, and I had to sign that I had watched it and forced to update. And it says, and use the app to update the firmware on their board to include haptic buzz alert functionality. Haptic buzz is a tactile and audible warning system. So basically, there's no beeper on the Onewheel. There's not like a little thing that beeps like you have on your computer, right? There's no beeper on it. It uses the motor to beep. So they can hit certain frequencies in the motor. Same thing with my drones. So when I first power on my drones, they go duh, duh, duh. It's like this little jingle they play. They're actually using frequencies in the motors to do that. There's no speaker. They use the motors to do it. Anyways, haptic buzz, tactile and audible warning system that provides the rider with buzzing sensation and sound when nearing the limits of the board or when low battery or error states. The firmware update for the Onewheel GT will be available within 1 week, with the firmware update with the Pine X, Pine, and XR launching within 6 weeks. Click here for more information on the firmware update timeline. Consumers and with the original Onewheel or Onewheel Plus model should visit recall.onewheel.com. So the original, which came out like, I don't know, 8 years ago, I don't think there was a way to update those to arrange a prorated refund in the form of store credit upon confirmation of disposal of the product. So basically, you would have to show them that you destroyed it, which involved, I'm pretty sure it involves cutting the wires and shit. But that would be cool if you could cut the wires and then rewire it back together and still get store credit. This recall involves all models of Fushimoto Onewheel self-balancing electric skateboards, including Onewheel Original, Onewheel Plus XR, Onewheel Pine X, and Onewheel GT. Now they got the GTS. The model name is on the side of the skateboard. The Onewheel logo is printed on the rail of the skateboards. The recall Onewheel electric skateboards were sold online at onewheel.com and other websites and at independent shops nationwide for January 2014 through September 2023. So basically, from 2014 through 2023, it didn't have the haptic beep, the haptic feedback, and the nose lift. If you were going wide open and something happened, it just shut off. Instance. Future Motion received dozens of reports involving electric skateboards. What's up, Andrew? Electric skateboards, including 4 reported deaths between 2019 and 2021. By the way, those people that are worried about me, I do have a helmet coming. I just ordered it today, and I think it'll be here Wednesday. So I've got a helmet coming. It's a goofy-ass looking helmet, but it's certified. It's got a headlight and a tail light in it. It's the one I showed you guys on Amazon the other day. Let me see if I can find it. I was just thinking, I hope I ordered the green one. Because I was like, man, I don't want the orange one, but that's what it was automatically set on. Oh, yeah, I did order the green one. Okay. So this is what I ordered. It's approved for electric personal vehicles, EPMs or EMPs or some shit. It's approved for those. It's got a tail light. You can see it there in the back. Ex Nito is the name of it. It's got like a hard hat, tight tensioning system, I think is what it's called, to where you spin the little knob, it gets tighter. We had Liam, of course, in a helmet. He was in a bicycle helmet, but it is CPSC certified. And then I'll probably get him his own helmet with his own board and stuff. The only other thing I'll probably wear is maybe wrist protectors so I don't snap my wrists. But I've got to, I'm going to get Liam everything. So I'm going to get Liam everything that I could possibly get for him because he's young. I have to get him everything. All I'm going to wear is probably a helmet and wrist protector. I'm going to get Liam elbow pads, knee pads, everything, just because when you're young, you do dumber shit. Plus, I've already fallen a lot, so we'll see. Let me see something. I want to make sure I bought the extra large. I think I did. Yeah. Okay. I got the extra large for me. Liam's just got like a regular. It's a heavy duty bike helmet. It's not like the bike helmet when we were kids. It really didn't do shit. And I got it in forest green. I think I'm gonna take mine and kind of make it like olive drab green, just like I don't know, camouflage colors like military. They're pretty cool. I've been super stoked about it. My biggest concern was I wouldn't be able to catch it. Like I'm just too old. My balance is too far gone. But I've been riding it all right, so we'll see. Class 3 e-bike helmet. Oh, there's a tail light and headlight. And apparently you can have them flash. You can have them flash and or solid or whatever, and you charge it up. The headlight's going to be cool. I don't know about the tail light. Look like an idiot. This one looks like a baseball hat. I saw this one yesterday. There's your good one. Good airflow on your fake. I should have got one. Hold on. I should have got a Derek Johnson version. I guarantee you. There it is. Straw helmet. I needed a cowboy hat bicycle helmet. That's what I should have done. I've got the big foam hat that Dr. J bought me. Got the big foam hat. All right, I got enough about Onewheels. People don't care. I know. I'm just excited, whether you guys are or not. I stole that motherfucker. For $250, I stole it. 2 people stopped today. One guy offered me $500 for it, and the other guy said, name a price. I'll buy it right now for my son. Like, saw me riding it in town and pulled over and stopped. And they're like, name a price, I'll buy it for my son. I'm like, I can't get rid of it. I couldn't replace it for, whatever. It'd take at least $1,000 to replace it, I guess is what I'm saying. And I can't charge somebody $1,000 because that's what a new one costs. But the other guy, I told him I paid $250 for it, and he said, would you take your money back? And I said, nah, I don't think so. My son will probably kill me if I got rid of it now. He got to ride it today. He said, well, how about I double your money, $500? And I said, I don't know. I don't think I can. And he drove off. But there you go. It's been fun. I'm gonna make some videos from it, and I'll probably do some upgrades to it. If that's the one I'm keeping, I'm gonna have to upgrade it. But I might get a different one and give that one to Liam. We'll just have to see. I'm really kind of obsessed with building my own. I just don't know if that'll come to fruition or not. All right, guys, if you want to support the stream, this is the Cold Beer Confessional with Will Bird. If you want to contribute to the stream, keep it going. Go to coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund, where you can use any of the links on the left-hand side. If you're on your cell phone, they'll be right in the middle of the page. Any of those contribute to the show, including Buy Me a Coffee, where you can leave a text-based message. You can join our Patreon for extra content at several different levels. You can start as little as $2 a month, or any of these bottom links. The Dono clip, you can record audio or video. The very bottom link is a private link, so it'll tell me that you donated. It just won't pop up on the screen if that's not your thing. So there you go. I got something that I want to read to you guys. You got to bear with me. This is getting pretty out there, okay? The Q-tards are really, really freaking out. Really freaking out about this Eclipse. My granddaughter's bike helmet. I plan on putting a GoPro mount on mine. If you guys don't know, I got 3 GoPros. One of them is the camera that you see right here. This camera behind me is a GoPro. So like when I'm in the intro, a lot of people don't even know this is a camera, but there's a GoPro right here. Boo, boo, boo. See that? See my finger? There's a GoPro right there. That's one of them. I've got another one sitting across from me and a third one somewhere. I just don't know where it's at. They're all older GoPros, but that's fine. I don't care if they break or whatever. I would like to, maybe I'll save up and get one of those Insta360 cameras, because they have the selfie stick you can use, but it doesn't show up. Like, it's a disappearing selfie stick. Plus, you get panoramic shots. So when you go into editing, it shoots in every direction. So when you go into editing, if you want a forward shot, you just edit the forward part out. If you want a backward shot, you edit the back out. And there's some platforms that'll let you upload it in 3D. So, like, if you're watching the video of someone riding their one wheel or driving their car or motorcycle or whatever, when you move your phone, you can turn around. So you can look ahead, you can look at traffic behind them or whatever. It's the Insta360 cameras. Insta360. Let's see I think it's like the X3 is their newest one, I think. It's a literal 360 camera that you can record all the way around everything. And they come with if you use their selfie stick, which is probably like another $150, but if you use their selfie stick, it's disappearing. You can't even see it. It's like the camera is just floating behind you. I wonder if we got any. Let's do this. Before we get into the Eclipse stuff, Insta360 footage. Let's do, actually, we'll find some out on Onewheel. I'm sure somebody's uploaded Insta360 Onewheel. That guy's on rollerblades. Would I be a cool kid if I got rollerblades and started riding them? Let's see what it looks like when he's riding a Onewheel with the Insta360. Well, besides freezing constantly. Is he holding in his hand or does he have a selfie stick? So he's got the disappearing selfie stick. It looks like there's nothing in his hand, but he's actually holding a selfie stick. If he puts it back behind him, that's what I think is cool, where you're like behind them and you can see kind of down on them, so you can see where they're going and that they're riding. They're pretty cool. I did. We're gonna watch it here in a second, but don't use the term fag, even if you spell it like that, please. Go ride. So you can't even tell that he's got a selfie stick. This is the view I like. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool view from behind people. Riding it. Obviously, I don't live in New York, but they might be 1 or 2 cars in my town. So that'll be good. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Can you turn the view as a viewer? That's what I'm saying. Some platforms you can. So some platforms you upload the whole thing. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen it on Facebook or not, but when certain videos you click on Facebook are 3D. So like there's one with like the Blue Angels. You're like in the cockpit with the Blue Angels. And when you hold your phone like this, you're looking straight ahead when you open the video. But if you do like this, you're looking out the side window, or you can turn all the way around and look behind them. But yeah, it's some platforms let you upload a full 360 video. YouTube doesn't. I don't think YouTube does 360 videos, but you can pick whatever shot you want in editing. So when you go to edit it, you can pick the shot from behind, the shot in front, the shot looking forward or backwards or whatever you need it. But they're expensive. The 360 cameras are like $400 plus a $150 selfie stick plus this. I had to find another used one. Somebody post a meme the other day. It said Facebook Marketplace has got me like Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt in, what was he, an Auto Trader? You remember the Joe Dirt movie where he's like, look at this, man. This is a Dodge Demon. You see this? It's just, I don't know. That's what it's got me like. Facebook Marketplace. I'm on there all the time looking for a deal. Just because I'm poor and can't afford shit. But there you go. All right, let's start off with this post about the eclipse. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. Proletario. This is Ariel. Proletario. Somebody keeps asking me to cover this guy. He's just a super cute tard. I mean, I don't know what there's to cover about him. All he does that I know of is Twitter posts. But it says, closing the loop, a futile attempt. April 8th is going to amplify the energies for a timeline jump. This is the official stance of the people who follow him, the good line people, all those people. Here we go. A timeline jump that NASA will try to prevent because they want to maintain the lower third dimension. So remember how long they've been talking about the fifth dimension shit? Now they think that we're in the third dimension, but we're going to timeline jump the whole world to the fifth dimension. And there's no way to prove that this did happen or it didn't happen. So they're just going to claim it did. They're just going to claim it did. Oh, we're in the fifth dimension now. Okay. Because they want to maintain the lower third dimension where the illusion of freedom thrives. The illusion of freedom. The White Hats are planning to use the Large Hadron Collider. Now that's the LHC is now a good thing. The collider is now a good thing, right? Of course. Why wouldn't it be? CERN, right? The White Hats have CERN now to create what they are calling a God spark, which is a mini supernova. This will be used to create an wormhole. This will be used to create a wormhole into another timeline. Once we create the wormhole, it will remain open for a short period of time. And if we can maintain stability, he acts like he's one of the fucking scientists at CERN. Like, oh, well, if we can maintain stability for 3.2 nanoseconds, if we can maintain stability for a few minutes, the entire Earth can safely be transferred to a new timeline. So Nick Alvear sucks this guy's dick is basically what I'm getting to. Like, way up to the balls. Like, all that shit. He sucks all of it. And while he's sucking this guy's dick, he decides to make a movie just based off this guy's post. That's literally what he says when he makes the movie. Hold on, I'll read you his post. Good Line Film presents April 8th, The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, a short film. Written by Ariel, a Proletario 1. Edited, narrated, and directed by @Goodline TV. I gathered Ariel's post on the White Hat operation regarding April 8th and made a short film of it. I hope you enjoy. Fear is a choice, and so is love. I invite you to my site to learn more. Goodline.tv. Fear is a choice, and so is love. He kisses this dude's ass plumb up in the red. Like, plumb up in the fissure tissue. So here's what we end up with.
New York's Board of Supervisors has preemptively declared a state of emergency ahead of Monday's total solar eclipse.
By the way, same thing they did at the last eclipse, if you're wondering.
Chairman Sean Gillian says this is to prepare for congested roadways and disruption of cell service as thousands and thousands of people are expected to flood into the county. The state of emergency is set to go into effect at 9 a.m. on April 6th and last through April 10th.
The truth is stranger than fiction. Kentucky, West Virginia, Ontario, Canada, Arkansas, Killeen, Texas, Ohio, Missouri County, Charleston County, Jackson County, and Kansas City, and New York have all declared a state of emergency. Have you ever seen this many cities declare an emergency within 24 hours?
Have you ever seen this many cities declare an emergency within 24 hours? I've never even seen a city or an emergency or 24 hours.
Particularly for an eclipse? Did we see this happen 7 years ago? We didn't. We are in uncharted waters right now, and there's so much coming from all directions. NASA will be launching rockets into the moon's shadow during the solar eclipse, and CERN is set to test the world's most powerful particle accelerator on the same day, searching for invisible matter that secretly powers our universe. With so many of us hoping for something to give or break, could the 8th be a day we are let down again?
Could the 8th be a day we are let down again? Could the 8th even be another day where my hair just is too frizzy?
Or could April 8th be something weirder than we could have ever imagined?
This isn't even good stock footage. He just put in random science footage. I don't even know what he's looking for.
Just resubscribed for 22 months.
April 8th is going to amplify the energies for a timeline jump that NASA will try to prevent because they want to maintain the lower third dimension where the illusion of freedom thrives. The White Hats are planning to use the Large Hadron Collider to create what they are calling a God spark, a mini supernova. This will be used to create a wormhole into another timeline. Once
This will be used to create a wormhole into another timeline where my hair is just as brilliant and has just a luscious shine.
we create the wormhole,
The wormhole has beautiful eyes, bro.
it will remain open for a short period of time. And if we can maintain stability for a few minutes, the entire Earth can safely be transferred to a new timeline. Please understand this event will not come with the Hollywood Michael Bay explosives that everyone is looking for to make the 8th more exciting for the ADHD 3D mind, just so you can wake up the next day to say nothing happened. Because you will be the same person coming to X, waiting on someone to confirm that for you. You have to understand if your rulers thought like you, we wouldn't need spiritual or celestial intervention to get us out of this mess. The Large
That's
Hadron
right.
Collider has the potential to create micro black holes.
Micro black holes, which some people call the God spark.
And it has been theorized that these black
God damn, I'm glad I accidentally clicked off of it. How fucking stupid.
Please understand this event. You have to understand if your rulers thought like you,
There's
we
so
wouldn't
much
need
to understand
spiritual or
about
celestial
understanding
intervention to
when
get us
people
out of this mess.
understand.
The Large Hadron Collider has the potential to create micro black holes, and it has been theorized that these black holes could potentially be used to open wormholes to other timelines.
No, it hasn't. No one legitimately thinks this. The many black holes that it could potentially create are so fucking sudden and gone, no one even realizes till weeks after when they analyze the data.
By creating a micro black hole and stabilizing it for a short period of time.
When his whisper voice makes him sound like a predator, 100%. Like he doesn't want to alert. No, look, I'm just your cool pot smoking uncle, and you don't need to tell your parents. No. Doesn't my voice calm you? Makes him sound like a predator.
The White Hats can use the energy from the superheated plasma within the black hole to create a wormhole into another timeline.
So the plasma in the black hole creates a wormhole that goes to another timeline. Got it?
The White Hats have been working on this plan for many years, and they now believe that they have perfected the process and are confident that they can successfully execute it on April 8th. What NASA will try to do is this. They're going to fire rockets at the Large Hadron.
I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but especially religious-based, basically since the dawn of time, especially religious-based, since written record existed, every generation of people believe it's their last generation on Earth. If they wanted to talk about something actually cool, hold on. If they want to talk about something actually cool, they could talk about Apophis. Do you guys know what Apophis is? So Apophis, Apophis, Apophis is an asteroid. It's an asteroid that is headed towards Earth. And in 2029, it will be so close to Earth, it will pass in between Earth and our own communication satellites. It'll be closer to us than our own communication satellites. And there is like a window. Now, the odds of this happening are like 1 in 42 million. There is a window. They don't know exactly where it's going to cross at, okay? They don't know exactly how close it's going to be. But there is a window about 600 meters wide that if it crosses within this 600-meter wide window, close enough to Earth, when it's coming so close to Earth that after it passes Earth, it's going to be thrown off its trajectory, right? The gravity from Earth, as it goes by, the gravity is going to pull it and turn it. And there's a 600-meter window that if it falls in that window and we get put just the right turn on it as it passes by Earth, when it comes back by in 2036, it'll be a direct strike on the face of the Earth. That's something that's actually scary, right? Now, the odds of that are really low. It's probably like the highest odds of an asteroid striking us, but the odds are still super low, right? There's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of other places it could cross to where it doesn't do that. But there is a window to where we could apply enough gravity upon it that the next time it comes around, it's going to be a direct strike in 2036. So it's coming in 2029 and it's coming in 2036. And depending on its trajectory, it literally could. Hold on, is this it? Apophis is going to get so close to the Earth. It's insane how close to the Earth it's going to get. Hold on, I'll show you the video. They have animations of it. Let's just minimize this and do this. It's going to be closer than basically anything else. That's if it hit the Earth. Here is what's his name talking about it.
On April 13th in the year 2029, this asteroid named...
It's also a Friday the 13th. April 13th, 2029.
Apophis. So, we know for certain that Apophis on Friday the 13th, April 2029, it's the size of the Rose Bowl. It'll get close enough to Earth that it will dip below Earth's communication satellites.
It'll come in, it's the size of the Rose Bowl, and it'll come in between, it's peanut shaped. It'll come in between us and our satellites. That's freakishly close, right? Our satellites obviously are something that we think like, the moon's way outside that, asteroids are way outside that, but it's going to be in between the Earth and its satellites. That's freakishly close.
It'll be the biggest, closest thing ever to come known to come near Earth. Here's the catch. Its orbit remains sufficiently uncertain. There is an interval range where if it threads that keyhole, we call it a keyhole. It's a 700 mile range. If its orbit goes through that range, Earth's gravity will be just right, or rather, just wrong, so that it will alter its orbit so that it will hit us 7 years later.
In 2036. In April of 2036.
In the year 2029. So
that is Apophis. Now, if that happened and we were thinking that, okay, we might have an asteroid strike, we're already sending, there's already a mission to Apophis. And the mission for Apophis that we've sent a satellite up there, or I guess you wouldn't call it a satellite. We've sent instrumentation towards it. The mission there is to figure out, like, if there's a chance, can we do something to it? We don't even have to destroy it, right? We just need to push something on it. When it's 3 years away, if we can just move it a couple feet that way, by the time 3 years happens, it'll miss us by miles and miles and miles. It's just interesting. I mean, it's more interesting than the fucking... we're going to jump through a wormhole during the eclipse.
Introducing him a bit to the United Kingdom. Of course, he's been here before, but I'm showing him a little bit more. In the meantime, the Osiris probe is on its way for a rendezvous with the Apophis asteroid after...
It's called the Osiris probe, is what they sent to it.
Rendezvousing with the Bennu asteroid and dropping off samples earlier in 2023. I'm going to share a couple of disconcerting facts with you. Number one, if there is any sort of bacterial life hiding away in that Bennu sample, we don't know if it's there because NASA still can't get inside the sample as I'm recording this. Number two, the rendezvous that you are about to see here in just a moment taking place in 2029, well, regardless of what NASA says, this...
Now, I don't trust this guy. It was just one video I picked up, but I wanted to see that rendezvous point right there. This guy's called the Angry Astronaut. So Osiris, Apex, which is there to study Apophis. The Earth is blue, Osiris is orange, and Apophis is in white, are all going to meet up because we got Osiris there studying it, right? It's in orbit.
What NASA says, this incredibly close encounter is going to remain extremely hazardous to our planet. Let me explain why. The first thing you need to remember about Apophis is just how damn big it is. Even if you're not really familiar with London landmarks, I think this gives you a pretty good idea of what...
It's the size of the Rose Bowl. So it's the size of like a college football stadium, a large college football stadium.
Looking at here in terms of size. By way of comparison, the Chelyabinsk meteor, the one that created a nuclear-sized explosion in the atmosphere that caused widespread devastation in Siberia,
it was
You're right, 18 meters across, about 59 feet, as opposed to over 1,100 feet in diameter for this asteroid. Also, as you can see, it's passing uncomfortably close to our planet. In fact, the closest that any asteroid that we know of anyway that's this big has passed to our planet in recorded history. Let me say that again. An asteroid of this size has not passed this close to our planet at any time.
See how its orbit's slower, but it goes in and out of our orbit?
In recorded history, at least as far as we know. Apophis will pass so close that it will go inside the orbits of our geosynchronous satellites. That's an insane close call in solar system standards. And what would happen if the asteroid were just a little...
I think anything inside our satellites is a big deal.
Off course, a little bit different in terms of its trajectory than we thought. Well, the effect would be nothing short of cataclysmic, at least for the region that it hit.
That's right,
and we're talking about regions. It's actually a pretty damn big region. Let's say, for example, that it hit in the Atlanta metro region. Let's go ahead and simulate the effects with my favorite little online asteroid impact simulator. Kaboom! Well, if you live anywhere in Atlanta,
it's a city destroyer. So not only is it a city destroyer, like this is Atlanta, it almost reaches its immediate crater will almost reach out to like the Beltway and shit, right? 50% fatalities in this one. Third degree burns way outside the Beltway, right? Way outside the Beltway. You still have third degree burns. Second degree burns don't even fit on the screen. So it's a city destroyer. But more than that, if it were to hit, it probably won't destroy the Earth. It's not like we're all going to die. But we would probably be dealing with years of crazy climate because it's going to put so much dust into the atmosphere. We're talking about years of just barely being able to see the sun, and in some places not even seeing the sun, maybe.
Metro area, 2.4 million would die instantly. Another million would suffer between second and third degree burns. Clothes would spontaneously catch fire within a 26-mile radius of the impact zone. It is a horrifying thing, created by an explosion no less than 4...
Now, again, we got Osiris there to study it, and in 2029 is when it's coming close. 2036 is the potential impact. We could actually, obviously, like I said, if it's 3 years away and we move it a foot that way, that'll set it off miles and miles and miles and miles in 3 years, right?
4 gigaton.
Yeah, it would be like, I've been to Iraq. I know most people haven't. But if you've ever been like in a dust storm, they call it red air because everything looks red haze. It would be a darker haze than the red. The red is from the type of sand they have there. But basically, like even during the day, it's just like you can't see the sun. It's still kind of lit up. It's not nighttime. It's not like an eclipse. It's not nighttime. Everything's still lit up, but you can only see maybe 40 feet and everything's like got this weird red tint to it. And if you look beyond 40 feet, you just see a red blur. They would be like that.
In strength. We're talking about 80 times the explosive force of the most powerful nuclear blast ever set off in human history, the Tsar Bomba. Or, to put it another way, we're talking 200,000 Hiroshima bombs. A fireball the likes of which has never been seen in human history, and a fireball that would utterly...
I'm sorry, Itsuko. I don't know if that'll trigger you. I didn't know he was going to say that.
Consume all of central Georgia and set off a firestorm that would be extremely difficult to contain.
So you guys know how big Georgia is. If it hit Atlanta... Like it's going from Atlanta, second degree burns go all the way to like the Alabama state line.
In anything resembling a reasonable time frame, and we are just getting started. Anybody who survived the blast would be greeted by a 272 decibel shockwave that would be sufficient to kill another 400,000 people, or essentially everybody still left alive after the fire.
Dust storms in Texas are probably the same. When you have a legitimate dust storm, it's a weird thing. We got caught out in dust storms on missions one time. The story that I tell about the traffic circle and getting I've got a story about a traffic circle and at the time it was Al Qaeda in Iraq were the people there that were fighting us. It was a branch of Al Qaeda like you think about being from Afghanistan, but they were in Iraq, right? They had opened up like a franchise there. Anyways, they were walking mortar shells in on us, and we were in red air. We were in a traffic circle. Probably the traffic circle is probably 3/4 of a mile across the center. It's a big traffic circle, but I couldn't see the other side. I could barely see maybe 3 cars in front of us and 3 cars behind us. But they knew where we were at because they had some type of spotter on us, and they were calling in mortar strikes, and I could hear them, obviously, but the only thing I could see was when the mortars would hit, it would light up the whole red sky, the red air, because I wasn't looking up. I was looking out, and it would light up the whole thing. I thought it was lightning and thunder at first until they started getting closer, and we started getting, like, splashed with dust and dirt and everything else, concrete blocks. It was terrifying, but yeah, sandstorm's pretty scary.
Fireball, and then any structure still surviving would be wiped off the face of the earth by the most powerful windstorm ever experienced in
1,000-mile-an-hour wind is what it would feel like when it hit. 1,000-mile-an-hour wind.
recorded human history. We're talking wind speeds as high as 1,000 miles per hour. To anything unfortunate enough to be within 13 miles of ground zero, and anything within a 39-mile radius would be subjected to the equivalent of an EF5 tornado, which is sufficient to destroy almost any structure that mankind can create. An 80-mile diameter circle of utter devastation.
So it would knock trees down all the way out across the state line. It would knock trees down in fucking Alabama.
Where very little would be left over except for a raging firestorm that would almost certainly have some impact on the climate. Perhaps a mild version of a nuclear winter, but the planet would certainly be impacted by a firestorm of this magnitude. And to make matters even worse, if this asteroid were to impact off the coastline, well, depending on how far away you were from ground zero, you could be dealing with a tsunami as high as 2,000 feet. Okay, so I hope I've gotten all of your attention. So here's the deal. Why has NASA ruled out the chance of impact given how close this asteroid is going to be passing to our planet? Well, because gravitational affected orbits are very easy to predict. We do it all the time, not just with planets, but also with near-Earth asteroids that could theoretically present a danger. But here's the problem. Asteroids don't always remain exactly on the same trajectory that gravity would dictate. There are other things that impact an asteroid's path. For example, for those astronomers who continue to insist that Oumuamua was an asteroid or not some sort of extraterrestrial light sail, well, they explain Oumuamua's deviation of almost 40,000 kilometers as being caused by some sort of outgassing. Outgassing from something we couldn't even observe, but outgassing that they insist could have happened with an asteroid. So if something like that, something we can't even see, caused an asteroid to divert that much, it means that Apophis most definitely could divert by up to 40,000 kilometers, which, by the way, is almost the same distance that it's going to miss us by. And
you know, we still have basically control we have the ability. Osiris is the satellite, the probe that's there on station. We still have thrusters and stuff for it to move it. Like, worst case scenario, we could just run shit into it. Right? We could just ram it with shit, and that should adjust the trajectory some.
There are other factors that can impact.
Now, the problem is how hard do you hit it? How much? You know, are we going to throw it out and hit us in a different spot? But still, if we could calculate it, we could just ram shit into it, worst case scenario. I think there's probably a more complex solution of like, okay, we're going to move it 1.6 degrees of time on this exact day to this exact time for a 3-minute thruster burn. But I'm just saying.
Impact an asteroid's trajectory as well, such as a random
hit the Yellowstone and plug it up. There you go, bug dude.
With a smaller asteroid or a small meteoroid that we can't even detect. The long and the short of it is, we cannot, with any sort of confidence, predict exactly where Apophis is going to go between now and 2029, when we are going to have our close encounter. Perhaps Apophis will stay exactly on course, or perhaps it will even deviate away from our planet. But if it deviates even a little bit towards the Earth, we may find that it's on a collision course before we can actually do it.
So we technically won't know. Right now, we don't know. We technically won't know more until after 2029, when it passes close by, right? When it passes close by, our own gravity is going to affect it, right? Because it's coming so close. The same way we hold on to our own moon, right? We're holding the moon by our gravity, and eventually we're going to pull that sumbitch in, and we're going to die anyways. But we're the same way as it passes by, even though it's going faster than us and it's just going to pass by almost like a shooting star, our gravity is still going to act on it. How much? We're not exactly sure, but it will act on it. And instead of going straight past us, it is going to pull it some off course.
anything about it. So what do we do about this? Well, we've already demonstrated
right,
how
me
to change an asteroid's trajectory. We already know how to do that. However, we're not even in the process of building.
He's saying Apophis, which I don't think that's how you say it. It's Apophis, Apophis. He's saying Apophis.
A new dark probe, and the clock is ticking. We have 5 years to get ready for Apophis to arrive. And if something were to happen between now and then, we need to be
2029 is not even the one we need to be worried about. I know that's what he's saying, but
adequately prepared. And even if Apophis doesn't present any sort of immediate threat, it's still a great idea to have something in place. Just one dark probe would be enough, preferably in lunar orbit, perhaps in close proximity to the lunar gateway, as I explained in another video that I released a few days ago. That would be adequate protection against an asteroid like Apophis. Maybe not something huge, but we don't know of anything huge that's likely to be hitting our planet anytime soon. But given the fact that we do know that a relatively dangerous asteroid is on its way here and is going
with the way that we know about a lot of this is classified, but the technology that we have of intercepting missiles, warheads, ICBMs, all that we've learned with intercepting those, I'm pretty sure we'd put up a hell of a fight against a Rose Bowl sized asteroid.
Going to give our planet a close shave unlike any that we have ever received in recorded history. It would just make sense.
Yeah, 2029 will be close, but almost all of the predictions say it's going to miss. All the predictions I've seen. 2036 is what I'm really worried about. This guy's worried about 2029, though.
To be prepared. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe. Also, please consider supporting this channel on Patreon so I can keep content coming to you. And as always, stay angry about space.
He sounds pretty angry. Anyways, this would make a cool video if they talked about this, but instead they're over here talking about fucking wormholes opening during an eclipse. It's going to be the wormhole eclipse.
Hadron Collider in an attempt to disrupt the process and prevent the creation of the wormhole. However, the White Hats have foreseen this and have made contingency plans to ensure that the plan will succeed, regardless of what NASA tries to do.
The White Hats
The
versus
rockets
NASA.
that NASA is firing at the Large Hadron Collider are specially designed to emit gravitational waves from a short distance. This will cause the micro black hole within the Large Hadron Collider to become unstable, and it will potentially collapse or cause the wormhole to become unstable.
Yes, somebody told me that UConn beat Alabama. So what is that? What does the bracket look like now? UConn versus who? Who won from the other side? Purdue, but Purdue's got Purdue versus UConn. Is that what's left? Because Purdue beat NC State, right? Is that right? I haven't been keeping that close, but Purdue versus UConn. Okay.
The White Hats are also using their own satellite to send microwaves towards the Large Hadron Stellar to also create gravitational waves.
So the White Hats are first of all, microwaves burn you. So please don't tell people that the White Hats, or please don't let the White Hats send microwaves at me. Trust me, I've climbed through a microwave field when I worked on, by accident, it was supposed to be off, when I worked on a cell phone tower. I climbed through a microwave dish that was at minimal power. It was supposed to be off. There was a miscommunication. Instead of turning it off, they basically turned it down into standby mode. It wasn't even putting out wattage. When I realized I climbed through it, I was probably 125 foot in the ground, or 125 foot off the ground. By the time I got down, so immediately I went past it, and they yelled at me on the radio. I climbed back down around it the second time. I only went through it once. Second time by the time I got back down on the ground, 125 feet in the air, I already had blisters on my arms and on my shoulders, and skin was already peeling. So please don't tell me that the White Hats are shooting microwaves at us. That's not good.
Towards the Large Hadron Stellar to also create gravitational waves. They have calculated that if both these methods are combined, they can successfully disrupt the plan. The White Hats have also set up a series of magnetic resonance pulse generators around the Large Hadron Collider.
Makes sense.
These pulse generators will emit a specific frequency of magnetic resonance that can interfere with the creation of the micro black hole and the stability of the mini supernova.
I can't believe he says any of this as fact. I can't believe he says any of this as fact. Where did you get these details from that they're fact? A Twitter post?
The White Hats have also deployed several high-powered lasers.
Some flat earthers believe the satellites are like balloons. They have balloons holding them up. Helium.
Lasers around the Large Hadron Collider. These lasers are emitting a special frequency of light that they believe can create micro wormholes in the surrounding area.
Got it.
Effectively shielding the Large Hadron Collider from outside interference. Do you understand what we are trying to explain?
POTUS and JFK Jr. relationship, plane crash 99, HRC Senate 2000, the start. Enjoy the show.
Why do you think you have Q drop 1082 that says the start? The White Hats.
It just says the start. Why don't you think it's the start was about this in 1999 and 2000? JFK Jr. was in a plane crash in 1999, and then Hillary runs for Senate in 2000. Why wouldn't that be the start? Oh no, the start is actually 5-6 years later when there's an eclipse and the wormhole opens.
Have also hacked into the control software of the Large Hadron Collider. They have inserted a special piece of code that will automatically disable the gravitational wave emitting satellites at the opportune time.
Got it.
This will cause the mini supernova to create micro black holes, but the gravitational wave emitting satellites will be disabled and thus cannot emit any gravitational waves. This will cause the entire experiment to fail, and the White Hats are confident that they can successfully execute this plan.
Wait, are we jumping timelines or are we not jumping timelines?
The White Hats have a multifaceted plan to prevent NASA from interfering with the Large Hadron Collider on April 8th. As discussed, they have put in place a number of...
By the way, if you're looking at this map, let me put on chat for just a second. Let me back up just a little bit. If you're looking at this map, see Tennessee just above my head? I live all the way over. Tennessee's long as fuck. So a lot of people are like, well, you're close to Memphis. You're close to Nashville. No, I'm not. If you're going north to south in Tennessee, you can be across it in like 3 hours in a lot of places. If you're going to east to west, it's like a 9-hour drive. I cannot get any further. If I go any further east, I'm in North Carolina. So I live way the fuck over here in a little dog bone shaped county, almost at the top tip and as far east as you can go. I'm probably an eighth of the way down from the north part, and then right in as far east as you can go. We're supposed to get up to 97% coverage in the eclipse.
Hadron Collider on April 8th. As discussed, they have put in place a number...
Yeah, I'm only about 20 minutes or so from
of
Asheville.
Technological measures to ensure that the Large Hadron Collider remains stable and that the mini supernova successfully creates the tunnel into another timeline. Additionally, they have deployed several covert teams to the area around the Large Hadron Collider.
Again, he even says, I gathered all of Ariel's posts, which is Proletario1 on Twitter. I gathered all of Ariel's posts on the White Hat operation regarding April 8th and made this short film from it. So all of his research comes from a guy running an anonymous Twitter account.
These teams will be on standby to interfere with any attempts by NASA to disrupt the experiment.
Rain and storms on that day, I don't know.
So to review, NASA is trying to fire rockets at the Large Hadron Collider to disrupt the process. The White Hats are using gravitational wave emitting satellites to create a wormhole.
It's Monday,
NASA
right?
will fire rockets at the Large Hadron Collider on April
Monday.
8th.
Monday, I'm only showing a 20% chance of rain, but let's see when it is. Because the shit happens at like At like 2 something, right? Like between 2 and 3, I guess. Monday. Is there a way to do hourly? %, chance of rain, 7-mile-an-hour winds. Let's see. I hope we have a good enough weather for it. Checking out the app. There's an app for basically every town for eclipse2024.org. The community page. We should have up to 97% totality, which means you have to keep your glasses on the whole time. Longitude, latitude. It'll happen at... Oh, I'm sorry. It's around 1:52 p.m. Mid eclipse is 3:10. Partial phase start is at 1:52. All times shown, calculated. Map of weather, forecast, current cloud. See all the great resources. Is this now or is this then? From the National Weather Service. AccuWeather. Okay, that's satellite. That's current conditions. Sorry, I want to see what my chances are here. Forecast. Because I hope it'll be good enough. Yeah, chance of rain. Okay, here's the hourly. So at 1 p.m. it's saying partly cloudy. 2 p.m. is a slight chance of rain. 3 p.m. slight chance. Less than 30% though. So maybe we'll see. Hopefully we get to see it.
Hats have a multifaceted plan to prevent NASA from interfering with the Large Hadron Collider. Also,
that's right. We got so the cicadas this year. A double set of cicadas hit this year. So they come out like every so many years or whatever. And I guess this is a year where it lines up to where there's 2 different broods. Is that what they call them? Broods. A rare event not seen in over 200 years. 2024 is the year of the cicada. In the coming months, certain states will experience a rare natural event that hasn't occurred in over 200 years, the emergence of 2 separate broods of cicadas. So cicadas are going to be crazy this year.
On the 8th, the White Hats have set up a series of magnetic resonance...
Well, so there's different one. It can't just be every 7 years because they would never, the broods would never line up. So there's a 13-year brood and there's a 17-year brood. So it says... After 13 years, brood XIX is set to emerge in the spring of 2024 in 14 states. And the 17-year brood XIII will emerge in 5 Midwestern states at the same time. So it can't just be every 17 years. Different cicadas have different types of cicadas have different types of years that they have the broods.
Generators around the Large Hadron Collider. The White Hats have deployed several high-powered lasers around the Large Hadron Collider. The White Hats have hacked into the control software of the
cicadas every year, but these are just where 2 different species or broods or whatever are going to line up.
The Large Hadron Collider. The White Hats have covert teams in the area of the Large Hadron Collider.
The last time this happened, Thomas Jefferson was president. Thomas Jefferson was president, and we had just completed the Louisiana Purchase. There were 17 states in the Union. Pretty wild.
They don't want the masses to be able to escape the 3rd dimension and be free to pursue our higher destinies. They want to keep us trapped here so they can continue to control us and keep us in a perpetual state of suffering. system of control that is currently in place operates on two main levels.
The system of control that's currently in place makes me wear a ball gag, and the woman who pegs me carries a whip. That's the two systems, the gag and the whip.
We have the apparent leaders who hold the power and influence over the masses, but in reality, they are just puppets being controlled from behind the scenes by the globalists and the elites. On the deeper level, we have hidden forces such as archons and negative entities that manipulate the masses through more subtle and clandestine means. They feed off our energy and keep us trapped within the matrix.
They're feeding from our energy. They're energy vampires and Jews.
Tricks of control. There are a number of tools they use to control the masses.
Imagine living in the freest fucking country on the face of the earth, and then telling people that the freedom's an illusion and they're controlling you subliminally.
They use media and propaganda to shape our beliefs and narratives.
The states that the broods are going to emerge in, you probably know if you live in a state with cicadas or not, but it's Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Wisconsin, and Virginia.
They use banking and financial systems to keep us in debt and locked into a constant cycle of work and consumption. They use social engineering and divide and conquer strategies to keep us distracted and at each other's throats. They use technology to keep us plugged into a simulated reality, oblivious to the higher realms. They use religion and spirituality to keep us trapped in fear and shame and disconnected from our true selves. Because of all this, the eclipse is way more important than what people would ever give credit to.
And if you don't know what a cicada is, they are the bug that often, if you've got like an oak tree, you'll see their complete exoskeleton just stuck to the side of the tree. It's about that big, and it'd be like gray. It's almost the same color as the bark, but you can pull off their complete exoskeleton. That's a cicada.
The White Hats have successfully taken control of CERN, and the Cabal no longer holds control over the facility.
They make a weird noise.
How did the White Hats take over CERN? They infiltrated.
How did the White Hats take over CERN? They infiltrated their gay kink sex club.
How did the White Hats take over CERN? They infiltrated the upper levels of management through two key players, Michael Fabris and Fabiola Gianotti. Fabris was the Director General of CERN from 2010 to 2015, and he was replaced by Gianotti in 2015. Fabris was the one who led the White Hats into CERN, and he was a key figure in the process.
Okay.
He has since left CERN, but I think Gianotti remains as the current Director General. I couldn't find any.
I think, oh my God. I think this person's the Director General.
Public info on Michael Fabris. This seems to be protocol for security and privacy. The takeover was done through internal and external operations, including infiltration, deception, and sabotage. 10 years ago, this kind of talk would have been labeled as...
By the way, this is straight from this guy's post. Check this out. I'm telling you, the only research he did was reading this guy's post. How the White Hats took over CERN. They infiltrated the upper levels of management through two key players, Michael Fabris, Michael Fabris, and Fabiola Gianotti, who is 63 at the moment. Fabris was the Director General of CERN for 2011-2015, and he was replaced by Gianotti in 2015. Fabris is the one who led the White Hats into CERN, and he was a key figure in the process. That's word for word. He has since left CERN, but I think Gianotti remains as the current Director General. Word for word. I couldn't find any public info on Michael Fabris. This seems to be protocol for security and privacy. Word for word, dude. Word for word. He doesn't check anything. He is the copy and paste documentarian. That's what he does. He copies it, he pastes it, he reads it. oh, these guys suck each other off once a day, so no, there's no plagiarism involved. Word for fucking word.
Lunacy. But because of the last 5 years, we've been shown that the truth is stranger than fiction.
I don't think anybody knows who he is. He's got a... no, you're thinking of... if you're talking about the guy that I covered, he is Dom Lucre. The breaker of narratives on Twitter. He's kind of the same guy, though. They do the exact same thing. Now, the Proletario guy, Ariel, he does have a... this is his profile picture. But the one that I covered, that child tunnels and shit, was this guy. Oh, shit, I didn't realize he was live. Dom Lucre, who calls himself the breaker of narratives. This guy basically just steals everybody's shit and copy and paste it as if he's breaking some type of fucking news. Nobody really likes this guy, even in their own community. Well, some people do. Most people don't like this guy because he just steals everybody's content that's on the internet and reposts it, and then calls himself the breaker of narratives. So a few people have called him out for the shit that he does on his Twitter posts. At least the Ariel guy's making up new shit.
It may very well be that our world took a strange turn into the twilight zone because of technology like CERN. Maybe we have already jumped timelines into one that was preferable for the cabal and dark entities of this world. This could explain
the dark entities of this world. The dark entities of this world stretched out my back door, and now I can't tell if I'm done pooping or not.
The Mandela effect, and also the strange demonic influences that have become more obvious in Hollywood and the music industry. So it makes sense that the paradigm-defining technology CERN may very well have been taken from the deep state and is ready to be used for the good, to usher in a better world for all of us. The only way to find out is to keep your eyes open.
The only way to find out is I just made all this up. So all they're going to do, they did this last time they fired CERN up. All they're going to do is rehash a bunch of internet Mandela effect things and say, see, we did jump timelines.
And lastly, don't be afraid to look up.
Up a seagull's ass? Fear is a choice, and so is love. Love is a choice. That I choose to make that choice of chosen ones every day. I'm a chooser. I would be embarrassed if I made this. I put together all of this guy's Twitter posts and made a short film about the White Hat operation going on April. Let me read it like he says it. Where's his post at? Let me grab it. What a fucking douche. Good Line Films presents April the 8th, The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, a short film written by Ariel at Proletario 1. Edited, narrated, and directed by at Good Lion TV. I gathered Ariel's posts on White Hat operation regarding April 8th and made a short film of it. I hope you enjoy. Fear is a choice, and so is love. I invite you to my site to learn more. http://goodlion.tv. Thank God he put that together because it's so hard to read someone else's Twitter posts, you know. Jesus fucking Christ. One event, 48 hours breakthrough, new timeline, biblical prophecy, cosmic alignment, paradigm shift. We are embarking upon a celestial intervention, something humanity will not avoid from the discovery that will follow among those who may question what has transpired that feels so different yet unexplainable. So basically they're going to tell you, don't you feel different? And don't you think there should be an explanation for this? We jumped timelines through a wormhole. Don't you feel different right now? It's because freedom's real now, bro. We should look forward to this as we all come to understand the following events that will pivot from this universal experience that will bring us closer to the 5D reality. So we're not even going to 5D, we're just getting closer. Where limitations will be removed and embargoes lifted, and we get to experience a world that has been long denied to those before us. However, you decide to look at it, at this upcoming solar eclipse, there will be no denying where we ended up once this has passed, when we all will witness the fall of this draconian system. Now, again, they make crazy, grandiose statements like that. Nobody can deny that we've shifted time. Nobody can deny that the election was... Nobody can deny who the real... But clearly you can, right? Like, you can either buy all their shit and be like, oh, yeah, I believe that. Or you can buy all the other shit and be like, those guys are crazy. All right? Those guys are out of their fucking mind.
For anybody who was in the area...
The strongest earthquake in 140 years, John.
Look at all that. And it's not over yet because we've got the Eclipse earthquake coming up on Monday. As Deborah Ross was telling us, it's going to be a transformative experience for anybody who was in the area of Cicada.
Clearly he's misspeaking or talking about like it's in a major event in the form of earth. He's not saying there's going to be an earthquake on Monday.
Transformative experience for anybody who was in the area.
The LHC, Jetson White, Ishmael, Perez, Alex Collier, Acer, Duke of Tears, David Wilcock, Richard C. Hoagland. I can add more, but when you listen to these figures, you can see that I'm not the only one talking about how CERN is being used to open up wormholes. The info I shared with you came from one individual I met years ago on a private forum who relayed things to me that matched what I learned over the years. I was introduced to this topic by Richard C. Hoagland in the Enterprise mission that was featured on his website. I did not study particle physics or the science behind wormholes outside of the published authors like David Wilcock and Alex Collier, who went into detail in books and interviews explaining how CERN works and the true purpose behind the machine. So they don't listen to CERN when they say, no, we're not doing this. That's all a bunch of bullshit and fake news stories. They listen to the people who really tell you what it means. What I relayed to you on the NASA mission is info you can find by other well-known insiders, some of whom you are already familiar with. Nothing I say has to be taken in scripture. Things change. I kind of rushed that info out as I had other things going on, which is why I couldn't get back to a lot of questions. I'm not as available as I appear to be at times. So if you're not familiar with the topics, it will come off as woo-woo jargon that is trying to pull you into confusion about what you are up against. According to Collier, his sources have warned him about CERN's activity, specifically related to the Large Hadron Collider, LHC. He said that the LHC is being used to create artificial wormholes or portals that could potentially allow negative entities to enter our reality. Again, this is the stupid thing where they're opening up a gate to hell, is what they claim. Collier has suggested that these entities, which he refers to as Draco faction, are manipulating human scientists and governments to create these portals for their own benefits. He believes that the creation of these artificial wormholes could have disastrous consequences for humanity and Earth. Remember when that we were watching a crazy lady who was covering all this and the world was going to end because they were firing up the LHC again? As I've said before many times, I can cite many sources to support the info I received about how the White Hats will use April 8th to move us away from what the cabal intended. Again, Gordy Rose hinted at this as well. Look him up. Gordy Rose stated on record that they are trying to use CERN to summon the great old ones. This is the reason I personally call the LHC a gigantic Ouija board. People do not grasp what this experiment could have meant for us if the cabal were still in charge. Interdimensional time travel, portal jumping, wormhole travel, parallel universe, stargates, jump gates, teleportation. just to name a few. The cabal was tinkering with all of this. There is no other way to lay this out, no matter how insane it sounds. How else are people expecting to receive the truth about this world? How do you want this delivered to you? Because this is one thing we have no control over. But our ego tries by being dismissive and relegating it down to hogwash to maintain this sense of superiority and survival sense it built its identity around the current structure of this world, which is falling apart every day. The ego is losing its grasp because the outlets that it has attached itself to no longer hold power it once did, which is why people become enemy combatants to those who they attempt to awake, because you are pulling them away from their safe space and they lash out because it's like being brought into the wilderness in the middle of the night, dark with no flashlight and nearby respite for refuge or refuge. Respite or refuge. And once you start hearing strange noises, you lose your sense of security, ego, and realize how vulnerable it is to be in uncharted territory. And you are left to track through the woods, not knowing what direction to take that will lead you to anywhere that can safely guide you out without suspecting that if someone were to find you, how are you to trust them in the middle of nowhere? You have nothing to defend yourself, no food, no water, no phone, so you are hoping that those who find you have all the best intentions in the world, not to harm, but help you in your most vulnerable state. How do you even determine this while walking alongside someone who has no history of showing you they can be trusted to bring you anywhere safe? So we have to understand sometimes God is the only one to rely on to give you all the discernment in the world to guide you through the fog. We have no choice at this stage. When I share info, please do not be under the impression that this is something not supported by sources that have scientific journals and publications dedicated to this topic. I would not post anything that you couldn't verify on your own time. But I know that is something most of you have very little of. So I try to explain it in a way where it at least makes sense enough to consider as something very plausible, even if it's unbelievable. Verify and validate on your own time. However, and whenever you decide to do so, what you will find is resolution if you are willing to listen and learn at your own pace. Bum, bum, bum. Evil! Do your own research, boys. Do your own research. If we indeed go into a different timeline, would we notice anything over the next day? All that means is you will be introduced to all that was hidden. No matter how this is rolled out, you will be in an area where those who sought your destruction will be removed, and technology released that will change the very fabric of what you deem reality today. But it will not be done in a manner that will cause fear, confusion, or chaos. The LHC is going to lock you in. Have you seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? This is a prerequisite to portal jumping. The LHC has the potential to bring you to an alternate timeline with alterations to this one where we don't end up enslaved. Why do you think scientists are coming out now about how they now have the means to access other realities, even though they had this capability decades ago? Because they are priming us to accept this as something real and not just something we see in sci-fi genres. Because if we don't, we will never be introduced to technology that can further expand us as a civilization. So now every invention that comes out that they think is cool or they misunderstand how it works, they're going to be like, see, I told you. If we wouldn't have fired up the LHC, we wouldn't have this AI robot that can predict when your cat's going to take a shit. You know? What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive, boys. What is wrong with these people? They're so fucking stupid. We got a good friend of ours is back on the scene. You guys want to see it? Bum, bum, bum. A rant from the man with all the words, the pathetic patriot. Hello, friends, viewers, chat, family, comrades, if you will.
All right. Maybe it's better I do this particular live instead of an official showcase. Just letting everybody know, first and foremost, I reached out, so we can expect possibly tomorrow and soon Josh from Stuck in the Middle, Stuck at Night. And I've been in touch with CanCon, and to be honest,
oh goddamn,
I've had him ready, and he has said he would appear, and then I have ghosted. So just letting that one out there, so you guys can just know what's in the pipe, so for what we can expect in the future.
I was on CanCon show once, and yeah, he's got a following, but it's because of Hopium, right? He claims, I'm not even part of these crazy Q people, but he believes everything they believe. So what's the difference? You just believe you found it on the internet and some guy named Q didn't give it to you, but it's still the same beliefs?
On the structure. So
I don't care. You're the same.
And for now, before I do something a bit more official, I'm going to touch on, I guess this is the white dragon, promptly, sir, in your suit and tie. That's how I see it. But you're a dragon. All right. Well, I am going to, I think for now, stop greeting almost everybody that enters because I want to get into this rhythm. So white dragon.
Here's a question I have for you guys. I would say, that most of my following is probably Christian, right? Or some Christian, or grew up Christian, or have some type of Christian beliefs. Imagine if you were trying to spread some type of message based in Christianity, and everywhere you went, there was 1,000 people showing up saying Allah Akbar, Allah is the true God, Allah is the greatest. Every time you went to talk, there was 1,000 people screaming it. What you were trying to share something for your church, like let's say you were having, Sunday school or vacation Bible school, and every time you tried to post online or speak or on a podcast, all the comments or all the people there in public were all screaming, Allah is king, Allah is king, Allah is great, Allah is king, Allah is the best, Allah Akbar, over and 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 over again to try to defeat you from getting your message out, right? They were trying to smother you with that again and again and again and again to where you couldn't get any message out. Wouldn't you say that even though saying Allah Akbar is not technically illegal, it's not technically a bad thing that they're saying, that's just part of their religion, wouldn't you say that they were kind of targeting you with that because you have a specific Christian message and they're over here overwhelming with you to where you can't get your message out? They're either screaming above you, they're filling all your comments with it, they're filling up the chat section where nobody else can talk. That's the argument behind the people who are screaming Christ is king at Jewish people, okay? No one's saying that Christ is king is bad, inherently bad. There's nothing wrong with those words. We're not trying to ban people from saying it. But when a Jewish person's talking about something that is inherently Jewish or about their Jewish tradition or whatever, and there's 1,000 people following them around screaming, Christ is king, Christ is king, Christ is king, Christ is king, and won't let them get their message out, that's the issue. It's not the statement. They could be yelling peanut butter milkshake. But if they're only doing it to Jewish people when Jewish people are speaking, it doesn't matter that they're yelling peanut butter milkshake. It's the fact that they won't let someone else get their message out and they're yelling anything as a coordinated effort from a very specific group of people, right? That's the problem. It's not Christ, it's not king, it's not Christ is king. It's the fact that they're only yelling it at certain people of a certain belief and doing that on purpose because they know that person's Jewish and they do this to all Jewish people. So again, it wouldn't matter if they were yelling peanut butter milkshake. It's still the same thing.
And you're the first and last for now. So here it is. Okay. I have been following the Daily Wire, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, all of this stuff. Somebody that I used to really respect. He grew popular during screw all the words, man, during COVID because people had to figure out new ways to be entertained.
You can say COVID on YouTube. You lie.
And this was Andrew Schultz.
Listen, COVID.
With Andrew Schultz, he has a very annoying podcast called Flagrant, where he has a literal new epiphany every fucking night, and he thinks he is like something special. But he actually got one thing right. He said something, and it was just through sheer force of chaos theory. Whatever can happen will happen. The man said something that actually made quite a bit of sense. And so the next time that I go on, I'm going to share this 16-minute video. It's a breakdown. So as he was ranting, such as I do, he came to this conclusion. Let me ask anybody that's listening or will be listening, why do you feel Candace Owens was fired? It's clear that it was not amicable. It was not not a professional understanding issue. We were lied to. It was something that was being swept up. And the interesting thing I know this is going to be controversial, but if we're not able to have the conversations where even if
she was fired, I would say the biggest part in her firing is she was locking and retweeting people who were harassing a Jewish rabbi and claiming that he was drinking Christians' blood, and she was locking those posts. There's no confusing like, yeah, I don't like this guy either with, hey, how much Christian blood have you drank today? That's what the post said. Are you drunk on Christian blood already? Now, if you don't know, there's a long-standing conspiracy about Jewish people that they drink Christians' bloods, right? Babies or whatever it might be. So someone that was hate-filled, that hates Jewish people, was like, oh, are you drunk on Christian blood already? And Candace Owens, as a public figure, sought out that comment so she could lock it. That's too far. The same way if someone was yelling at Barack Obama and calling him the N-word, and I went and specifically found that post and locked it, and I held a position at a news company, people would probably be like, bro, why you locking posts where they're calling Barack Obama the N-word? Well, I did. Her excuse was, I didn't read the whole thing. I was just locking posts.
Afraid to. What's the point of even having channels that have open-ended dialogue?
The entire post was like, hey, it's March 8th. Are you already drunk on all that Christian blood? That was the entire post. So what she's saying is, all she read is, hey, it's March 8th. I don't believe that.
Say what this Mr. Schultz said about Ben Shapiro, and apparently first...
Eli gets all his news from here, so let's go ahead and watch this. This is value entertainment, valuement, value taintment. It depends on what day you catch Eli on. This is where Eli gets every bit of his news. So I already Googled valuetainment, which is what it's actually called, Andrew Schultz, and this is where he gets all his news from, so we might as well watch this clip.
Andrew Schultz recently said something. Rob, if you can pull up this clip from Andrew Schultz. I don't know what all of a sudden happened and prompted Andrew Schultz to say this, but go ahead and play this clip of Andrew Schultz reacting to what happened between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. Go ahead.
He makes the argument for censorship. He calls it something else.
Yeah, if you have the term, I have it in my phone.
I don't even think he's using the term right, but he's basically like, there's a window of ideas we accept.
Yes.
And we accept ideas between this, I guess this is like a window you're looking like this. So we accept ideas between here and here. And anything outside of that window, well, you're fireable. That's censorship.
What?
But he's acting as if this is like a justified reason for...
This has always been a thing. Walk into your job tomorrow and say, you know, I hate this job. I think tomorrow I'm going to come in and shoot the place up and see how long you have a job there. Walk into your job tomorrow and tell them, hey, you know what? I am going to throw a meet and greet party at my house for all my Jewish neighbors, and when they get there, I'm going to burn them alive. And see how long you keep your job. That's always been there. There's always a window. Now, no one's saying she can't legally say it. Sure. But what's legal isn't what keeps your job. Right? What's legal isn't what keeps your job. When you work for someone else, which most people do, you know there are things that you could say at work that you're probably not going to have a job after you say it. Now, it's not illegal. You're not going to jail for saying it. That's freedom of speech, right? You can say whatever you want, as long as you're not inciting violence or whatever. But you also know that there's things that you could be fired for saying at work, but not arrested for, right? There are things that you could say at your job that you could be fired for, but you wouldn't be arrested for.
firing people when you built your identity and platform off of no censorship and freedom of speech. Facts don't care about your feelings and all this shit.
It's also funny that window happens to end where his beliefs end.
Fine. Yeah, I'm just saying.
You would say that. Not being pro-Israel, that's where the window ends. That's also your specific personal belief.
What?
So I just don't see.
You can't have an opinion on your platform that is not pro a country that is not ours?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Crazy.
I honestly don't think that he was that upset with her take on the... So she is anti-Israel in Israel versus Hamas war. I don't think that would have gotten her fired. But you can't be retweeting people who are clearly making racist tweets, right? Whether that person's black or Jewish or Hispanic or whatever. Like, I wouldn't expect to go to Candace Owens' thing and see her talking about a bunch of wetbacks crossing the border. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't expect that out of someone who holds a job. They're going to probably lose that job.
Yeah, so wait, is the Daily Wire an American media platform or is it an Israeli media platform? I'm just asking.
This guy's cooking.
I'm just asking. If the rule is, I'm just saying, if the rule is you cannot be critical, because he has no problem being very critical of America. Yeah. Critical of the left in America. Left is half the country. You have no problem eviscerating half of the country.
That's the current party in power.
But you can't
And this is Candace Owens. This is what she wants you to think. She wants you to think she was fired for being critical of Israel. And that might be true. The problem is she left them an out. If she would have just been critical of Israel and been on the up and up and they would have fired her, she could have said, it's because I'm critical of Israel. But imagine I lose my job and I'm critical of Joe Biden. Okay, I'm critical of Joe Biden. But they also find out that I have a plan to blow up an historic black church. And I say, I lost my job because I'm critical of Joe Biden. They fired me for politics, and I leave out the part that I have made a homemade explosive device to blow up a black church in a state. Right? If she would have just been critical of Israel and she'd have got fired, this could be an argument. But if she's critical of Israel and she's also retweeting that Jewish people drink Christians' blood, then she left them an out.
Criticize Israel as a country. It's just another country, unless you're saying, and you're clearly admitting, that the Daily Wire is an arm of the Israeli, I guess, media or propaganda machine. Is that? Oof. Are you manipulating the religious right in America? Are you manipulating the right-wing conservatives in America and selling them country western movies and putting on your little cowboy hat and fake moving to Nashville so you can take all their money and then in the process restricting free speech, one of the core tenets of the American identity? Ben. What is happening? There's trouble.
Is anybody under the impression that they could go into their like normal corporate job? I'm not saying like your buddy's your boss and he owns the company. But if you're going to like a normal corporate job and there is nothing off the table that you could say that would get you fired from that job, maybe I just have like a sick and twisted mind, but I can think of hundreds or possibly thousands of things that I could say to get fired on day one.
For context, Daily Wire's in Nashville, but he's in Florida. But yeah, what do you think about his points?
I mean, it makes a valid point, and I sent Rob another video of Ben kind of contradicting himself, but he's 100% right. Like what? And by the way, that's what attracted me to Ben Shapiro in the first place. That dialogue, that everybody say what you want, do what you want. Facts don't care about your feelings. This is a place where you can say anything except that one topic. And we obviously know Ben is 1,000% Israel. We get it. It's no secret. They could do no wrong. Can we play this, Patrick? I sent Rob this clip of Ben basically contradicting himself.
We have literally tens of millions of people in the United States who are afraid the cancel culture is coming up for them, and cancel culture does exist. And so what this results in very, very often is corporations looking to cram down a particular viewpoint on you and then cancel you. When it comes to the host on the Daily Wire, obviously everyone's able to say what they want, but the reality is that there is an Overton window at the Daily Wire. There are polls out there that show that a vast majority of Americans...
There has to be an Overton window. I don't think anybody was ever under the impression. Again, nothing you say short of calling for violence to somebody should get you arrested, right? The government, if you believe that all Israelis eat babies, that shouldn't get you arrested. If you just believe that. You're not telling people to attack them. But if you believe that and your employer finds out that you're promoting that online and they fire you, that's different than the government arresting you.
And every single political group, including liberals, feel like they cannot say what they want to say in public because they're afraid that they're going to be canceled, fired, cast out of polite society. This actually happened to a socialist moron named Nathan.
A little further back, Rob B.
Anti-Israel tweets. I mean, I think he's an idiot. I think that his views on Israel are abhorrent, but I don't think that he should lose his politics over the Guardian. That's a different story, obviously, when it comes to any publisher. Any publisher gets to make decisions about what wishes to purvey and not. He certainly
so everything he said, so he went against his word on basically everything that he said. He went the complete opposite because we found out that they fired her. They didn't have one of those contract disputes. They were like, you don't see the way that we say, you're being anti-us, goodbye, and they fired her. So that's just proof that he's a hypocrite.
Thoughts on this?
So I've been very open that I thought that the Daily Wire managed the the whole thing with Candace in public and managed it very poorly. And then Ben Shapiro just come back on leadership and say, well, I'm a founder, but I'm not the CEO, and I'm not making decisions. I'm like, come on, dude, you just did. So I thought the way it played out in public from a leadership standpoint was not good, but I kind of see it another way. You determine.
So now you can tell where Eli gets all of his news from. So let's go back to Eli's video, because every viewpoint he has is going to be theirs. He just repeats whatever they say from that. What's his name? Andrew Davis or whatever his name is. That he's just going to repeat whatever they say.
Candace Owens, she says Christ is king, right? Now we're going to go with the whole First Amendment, super important deal, okay? And what does the Daily Wire always advertise itself to be?
By the way, she didn't start the Christ is king thing until after she was fired. That's not why she was fired.
Every single time. It is the place where you can go, and Ben Shapiro is the man himself.
Somebody else made a video on the day after she was fired that said, hey, these people, these anti-Semitic people are using the phrase Christ, not everybody, but these anti-Semitic people are using this phrase Christ is king to shout at Jewish people to basically invalidate their beliefs, because they don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. They're still waiting on the Messiah to come or whatever. That's the Jewish religion. So when they're shouting Christ is king only at Jewish people, only to fill their comment sections, only to shout them down, only to make them mad, they're using it in a way against Jewish people as a fucking anti-religious, racist, whatever you want to call it.
A manifestation of facts over feelings, okay? We have to say what we need to, and we need discourse.
And Candace made a video about it, said, and basically her comment was, it wasn't a video, it was a tweet. She's like, really? You make this video on the day I'm fired? Now nobody's allowed to say Christ is king? Christ is king should be, every American should be saying that. That's not what he said. He didn't say nobody could say it. He didn't say it was off limits. He didn't say people couldn't say it or talk about it or use it. He said a group of people has hijacked it to attack another group of people.
And that's it. Like, say everything. It's an alternative to the mainstream media. Everybody gravitates towards the Daily Wire because, as it's been pointed out, for one, I think the Daily Wire has professionally tapped into some wise things, and you can even blame me for doing some of this tactics. Well, I'm not doing it out of strategy. I get very upset.
A gaggle of penexes.
Regarding the trans community trying to co-opt and own the entire alphabet community and erase biological women, right? So I'm a TERF. I get upset about that. I talk about it here, but I'm not trying to profit off of that. All right. So Daily Wire, it appeases and appeals to a huge. I'm a TERF. I get very upset regarding has professionally tapped into some wise things, and everybody gravitates towards the Daily Wire because, as it's been pointed out, for one, I think the Daily Wire has professionally tapped into some wise things, and you can even blame me for doing some of the same tactics, only I'm not doing it out of strategy.
By the way, he was just talking about.
I get upset about that. I talk about it here, but I'm not trying to profit off of it.
He was just talking about how amazing the Daily Wire was and how he signed up and everybody should everybody should sign up and how good it was. Now listen to what he says right here.
Of that. All right. So Daily Wire, it appeases and appeals to a huge network, mostly the right wing. And I'm very interested on any feedback regarding people that know Ben Shapiro is 100% pro-Israel. There's no, and I'm not trying to profit and own the entire alphabet community. Tactics are because, as it's been pointed out, for one, I think the Daily Wire has professionally tapped into some wise things, and you can even blame me for doing some of the same tactics, only I'm not doing it out of strategy. I get very upset regarding the trans community trying to co-opt and own the entire alphabet community and erase biological women, right? So I'm a TERF. I get upset about that. I talk about it.
He's a TERF. Now, if you're not on the internet much, he's a TERF is a trans exclusionary radical feminist. At the root of that word is you're a feminist. At the root of your word is feminist. You're a feminist. Is that what you're saying? You're a trans exclusionary radical feminist. Do you know what TERF means, Eli? Just because he knows the word doesn't mean he knows what it means. We've seen that several times. This is heinous.
Here, but I'm not trying to profit off of that. All right. So Daily Wire, it appeases and appeals to a huge network, mostly the right wing. And I'm very interested on any feedback regarding people that know Ben Shapiro is 100% pro-Israel. There's no gray. There's just.
Now, that was a direct quote from the podcast we just watched, of course.
Shit. Actions, not distraction.
He believes whatever this podcast says is what Eli believes. So 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago, when they were promoting Ben Shapiro and his movies and stuff and his production company, Eli was saying, I think I should. I think I'm going to sign up. I'm going to sign up for a year. You guys think it's a good idea? I'm going to show their film on here, Lady Ballers, about men who manipulate the system and they all play as women and win a basketball tournament, even though they're not that good. But now he's like, I'm a TERF, and I'm tired of Ben Shapiro being Israeli shill.
I'm not expecting to see him. So Ben Shapiro is pretty notorious for being 100% pro-Israel without a doubt. And he's been very public. He's the reason it wasn't swept under the rug. He could not keep this issue that he took with Candace Owens, who exercised the very right that they advocate for, so much so that they want you to pay a yearly subscription fee.
Again, he works at Publix. Do you think if he went into Publix tomorrow and is like, the smelly N-words are in here buying liquor again, I see, when a black person comes to check out at the alcohol counter where he works, the smelly N-words, you can't get enough of this fire water, can you? Do you think he would have his job? Now, I'm not saying he should be arrested. Maybe his ass beat. I'm not saying he should be arrested. But if he starts screaming that at black customers, do you think he would have his job? Or do you think there's a window of stuff that's acceptable to say when representing a company?
Which is, I pay it, and I'm no longer going to.
He's a stock boy now.
Candace Owens said Christ is king. I'm not a religious man. So these little things, they don't bother me as much as they bother people of faith. But I'm very curious for any believers, anybody that's...
She didn't say the Christ is king stuff, again, until after she was fired. So a different creator that's also from the Daily Wire made this video about people, basically, that's the word he used. He said they co-opted and hijacked this phrase, and it's Nick Fuentes followers. Nick Fuentes followers are not fans of Jewish people. They will openly tell you they believe the Jews are running the world. They have all the money. They're getting people listed by the ADL and getting people banned and doing this, and they're coming after Nick. And Nick Fuentes' followers will go to specifically a Jewish person who makes a video, has a live stream, makes a speech, and they will scream Christ is king over top of that person so nobody can hear their message. Now, another person at the Daily Wire, after the news broke that Candace Owens was fired, made a video, had nothing to do with Candace. He was just talking about how people had co-opted and hijacked this word. And Candace replies and says, really, on the day I'm fired, you're going to say people can't say Christ is king either? Wow. But that's not why she was fired. This all happened after she was fired.
In touch with the Heavenly Father, or however you talk about that relationship. Okay, and if you believe in Jesus, if you believe in Jesus Christ, how do you feel? I'm dying to know whether this be in the aftermath of this being live or right now. I would love to engage.
I could understand Christians being upset if someone came out and said, you know what, Christ isn't king, and you can never say that again, ever, or you're a racist. But that's not what was said. That's not what was said. What was said was, again, if I found a bunch of black, let's say I went to a civic group of black people that were trying to improve their neighborhood. And every time they made a post, every time they made a speech, every time they did a live stream, I was screaming, watermelon and fried chicken, watermelon and fried chicken, watermelon and fried chicken. Now, there's nothing wrong with watermelon. I like watermelon. I like fried chicken, too. I'm from the South. I'm not saying that no one can ever say those words or even those words together. But if I'm using it only when a black person's talking, don't you see how that's a hijacked phrase that shouldn't be yelled at black people? I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind here arguing this. Like it doesn't matter what they're yelling. It doesn't matter what you're yelling. If you're yelling it at a specific group of people over and over again, every time this group of people talks or live streams or posts, you're using it to harass them for whatever reason.
Age in the comments. I'm in my car. I'm in my uniform, so I don't want to, but I want this to get as interactive as possible. I'm absolutely curious. because the last thing we need, especially on the right, which is, I think, doing so well, especially while the DNC and the left, and, you know.
I don't think he's this dumb. I really don't think he's this dumb. Do you really think that they fired Candace Owens for saying the phrase "Christ is King," and they said anybody who ever says that is a racist?
You know, all the same names that we've grown accustomed to, the very shills that had me on board and brainwashed 100%, defending Antifa and BLM like a complete moron. And here we are now. So Ben Shapiro is going against the First Amendment.
Eli's an extremist person. He either has to be full on with Antifa or full on with fucking Nick Fuentes. I don't understand it.
That is being preached so heavy and hard to appeal to the right wing, because the right wing, let's face it, is being mass censored. I know there's people that would disagree, but I know the ones that are in touch enough are very aware that the mainstream is dominated by the left. And to say otherwise would be completely disingenuous. It would be a lie you tell yourself to convince yourself the world is something that is not. And if you want to live in that bubble, stay in that bubble and don't pop it. But if you're listening to this, I'm going to pop it for you. It's fucking obvious. Look in the mirror, say it so, and accept it, period. But
imagine every time Eli went live, no matter what, I got 1,000 of my friends to go say, chubby 40-year-old who lives with his mom. Chubby 40-year-old who lives with his mom. Chubby 40-year-old who lives with his mom. And I only did it to Eli. Only when he posts. Every post, there was 1,000 comments that said it. Every live stream, there was 1,000 people screaming it. Every live. Would he say that was targeted at him? Or would he say that the word chubby 40-year-old who lives with his mom can never be uttered by anybody, or that makes him their racist? Of course he would understand the difference, right?
How does the community or conservatives feel that the allegation so far is growing into the fact that there's a question, is Ben Shapiro an Israeli plant? And I know it's a terrible look for a lot of people, and people are afraid.
By the way, that was the exact takeaway from this show. Like, he doesn't even apply it to his own belief system. He doesn't run it through any type of check and balance system. Like, does this make sense? Can I find the source material? Can I look this up? Can I verify what they said is true? Whatever comes out of this show, he believes. That's it. Bottom line. If it comes out of this channel, he believes it.
You determine, and for better or for worse. And if you get
afraid to talk about it, you know, I have my Jewish heritage from my father, so I feel somewhat comfortable. It's stupid. I feel like I have plot armor, so I have the blessing from fucking cancel culture and society to talk about something that's stupid and that needs to change, or maybe that's my own perception that needs to change. So yes, Ben Shapiro was so angry that she has expressed sympathy for the Palestinian civilians that have been getting murked.
Again, not true. She was part of an harassment campaign against a Jewish rabbi who's online. And maybe you don't like this Jewish rabbi, and you can tell him, I don't like you. I don't like your beliefs. I don't like your belief system. I don't like the posts you make. But you can't reinforce people who are perpetuating a claim about Jewish people that's clearly anti-Semitic, that they drink Christian blood. You can't do that as a public figure and expect to have no repercussions.
I don't understand how you can condemn somebody, condemning innocents, you know, whose lives are being taken. In you know, any way when it comes to.
This is also the guy who used a scientific source, who had a scientific source for one of his claims, and when he cited that source, it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, scientist.
Or is grotesque, you know, bombs or bullets. These are the words YouTube doesn't love. So she condemns that openly a couple times. Pretty sure if you were following closely enough, you'd see she got a warning. And I don't think Candace Owens is one that likes to stay silent. And so she didn't. She kept pushing everything that she wanted to say because she's not one to hold back. And then, so after she did this interview on The Breakfast Club, which has a more larger appeal, which is, I would think she would get an attaboy, a pat on the back for going on a network that has much more of a spread. It has access to people that we need, that the conservative base or the MAGA base, like whatever you want to call it. All I know right now for me, without getting lost in the complete chaos of what is that there's only one person I entrust to vote for, that I want to vote for, that we have a right to, and the media is clearly, you know, nonstop, along with the strong arm of the co-opted, or should I say co-opted government, or the government.
I bet you if you could get Eli off the internet, I don't care if you're trans or you're a TERF, or you're the most liberal person in the world. Let's say you're a socialist. I bet you, as much as he is against communism and socialism, if you could just spend 10 days with Eli, let's say you're a full-blown communist, and you spent 10 days with Eli with no outside input, when he came back, he'd be a full-blown communist. It's like, there's a saying like, don't have such an open mind that your brain falls out, right? Eli could be convinced of anything within 10 days. I guarantee it. Probably less than that. Probably one shift. If I could slip in one podcast he listens to at one shift at work, I could change his entire belief system within one of his double shifts, which means he works 8 hours. When he complains about his double shifts at work, it means he worked 8 hours instead of 4.
You know, the DNC is our government, it seems right now, even though the GOP is still writing legislation hand in hand with them, and everybody's laughing all the way to the bank. So we got a few people that are outspoken enough to where I can say, okay, I respect this individual because they stand on this or that conviction, and I've seen them sign this bill and not that one. You know, you got to always watch who's signing what and not just listen to the sound bites. So, I mean, this is just a question that is...
Don't listen to the sound bites. Listen to the full Valuetainment podcast and make that your belief system. When people are like, are you like a traditional Republican, or are you just like a Republican just for the taxes? Or would you say you're more of like a libertarian style Tea Party Republican? He's like, Valuetainment! I'm a Valuetainment Republican. Well, I don't know. Have they put out a new podcast yet? I haven't had a chance to check. I've been on my double shift, working almost 8 hours.
Is going to dominate my mind until I have this more appropriately set up is how do any of you feel about the Daily Wire? I feel being a bit of a hypocrite. So it's clearly banking on the common sense outrage is what I call it, when like, I mean, always use me as the example because I didn't know. Apparently somebody that was a Democrat was a part of the walk away movement. I wasn't aware there was a movement. I just watched the party that I was invested in and fought for, blood, sweat, and tears, not literally, knocking on doors, telling people to vote for Bernie Sanders, telling Cubans to vote for Bernie Sanders in a Florida trailer park. That was not an easy thing to do, but I did it, damn it. And I used to defend AOC, Nina Turner, Ilhan Omar. I mean, tell me how much I have changed because it all started with that little show Stuck in the Middle and my buddy Josh, who was, I did call. We were supposed to do a little something tonight, but we're going to be doing something this week, I promise. So to me, yeah, clear hypocrisy. You can't preach First Amendment rights, and now I think it's fair. Like, is it possible? Is this controversial? Does this make anybody mad that I'm asking? Do you think the Daily Wire is an Israeli plant? Because if they're not allowing people to have a dissenting voice, I'll try to completely misquote Andrew Schultz. You can't have this one window and have all of this line of thinking that you're supposed to follow to a T. And if you step outside of the window, then that's it. You're fired, you're ostracized, you're canceled. I mean, that's what was revealed. I'm looking forward to Candace Owens telling all, and she's going to do just that. She's going to go on Joe Rogan. She's going to make her own media. I think she's got great things ahead of her. This is really funny when you juxtapose me 5 years ago or so trying to dog her for her choices. I was very critical as a high schooler. She used the NAACP to sue her high school, and now she's all on racism is not there. But I digress. It's just a point that I used to use, and I don't know how anybody feels about it. People do change their minds, and it's wild to me how anybody will come out and attack somebody. Flip-flopper, fence sitter. It's okay to kind of stand on something and give it a good think before you dedicate your.
It's not okay. It's not okay. It's okay to change your mind. It's not okay to feel so strongly in your beliefs that you're going to go out and try to convince other people and chastise people who believe differently than you. And within 5 minutes, you can change your entire stance. You probably shouldn't have been talking to people on the internet about your belief system then. You're not grounded in your own belief system. There should be a check in place to where you know what your belief system is. You know what it's founded on. You can take your belief system and apply it to situations and come out morally sound out the other side. Like you're not having to change it for every different scenario before you could advise other people about your belief system. If I can change it with a goddamn flip of a coin, then you probably shouldn't be advertising your belief system because you're convincing people of something online and you don't even know it to be true. You haven't ran it through any scenarios. Everybody hates Destiny, but one thing I like about Destiny is he's got a belief system. No matter what the scenario comes up, he can apply it to it and keep it consistent. You might not agree with it, but he can take anything from fucking raising the price of AIDS medication, to abortion, to Donald Trump, to whatever situation it is, he can apply his moral and belief system, and it always comes out sound on the other side. It's not destroyed just because somebody threw a wrench into it, right? Eli's belief system is, today I believe valuetainment. But if valuetainment changes their stance tomorrow, I believe valuetainment.
Yourself to an idea, try to, do your homework. So I am absolutely disappointed, and I won't use the term disenfranchised because I know how deep I feel when I say that, because I say that about our government. When I think about our government, I think about the control of this country.
If you are coming from, I'm not saying that like Nazis shouldn't come back. If you are coming from a very strong viewpoint and belief system that you've been advocating to people, and you do a 180, it needs to at least come with an apology. Like, sorry, I was kind of brainwashed into this, and now I think this, but I'm not even grounded in my own beliefs right now, so you probably shouldn't be following in my footsteps.
And that how it is right now as it stands. And I watch every other social media platform constantly taking any blame away from Biden. I just cannot believe that the DNC cannot be. I mean, they're not stupid. They have their shadow cabals, and the FBI is in their pocket, or vice versa. Who knows? And I refuse to believe they're.
I'd let you cast a shadow on my balls, Eli.
No way. They're going to push and advocate for Biden to run again. But they're really trying to push the fact that, or the people that are defending it. I'm running into people saying, "Oh, you can't blame Biden. You can't. It's not inflation. It's just the." And there's truth to this. But more than one thing can be true.
If you're going to talk about inflation, you got to talk about the numbers. There's truth to this, but more than one thing can be true.
I hear a lot, it's the billion-dollar corporations, and it's their most profitable quarter. That's true. It is their most profitable quarter. They're hoarding wealth. What a shocker. The greedy rich are being greedy. Fucking news mic drop. Boom. By God, I never would have thought. So the rich are doing their rich thing, the 1%, the elite, whatever. I'd hope this is something the left, the right, the middle, our independents, libertarians, whatever, could all kind of agree on. Okay, clearly. But if we're going to agree on certain things as being a fundamental truth, I would love to see the conservatives that are invested in the Daily Wire, like even Matt Walsh came out and tried to defend Candace Owens in what she said. And what she said is not radical. She just simply executed her First Amendment right by saying Christ is king.
That's not what got her fired, you fucking retard. That was after she was fired. She had to spat over Christ. Do you know what she retweeted about Jewish people? Or liked? Or commented under, or put a fucking heart on? Obviously you don't. Obviously you don't. Because the argument you're making is something that happened after she was fired. If you get fired from your job and the next day your puppy dies, would you be within your right to say, I got fired from my job because my puppy died? Obviously not.
And I think it's a terrible look for the Daily Wire to cancel and fire one of their strongest voices. And there's no question as to why. So I'm very, honestly, my curiosity knows no ends. I want to see the representatives, the people that pay the money and give them all their traffic and their views. And, what do you think? If you believe in, because I know faith is an important thing to many. If you believe in God as Candace believes in Jesus, how do you feel?
That would be awful. That would be terrible. If she got fired from her job for just saying the phrase Christ is king at the end of her show or when she prays or whatever, that would be terrible. Thank God that's not what happened. Imagine setting up, he even says, it's a rant, kids. Imagine having this whole ass rant to get people like, isn't this crazy? I don't know how you believe, but this is wild. And you don't even have the basic facts of the situation. No one was fired for saying the word Christ is king. Candace Owens was fired for her actions on Twitter, most likely. We don't know for sure, but the day before she was fired, people were spreading her actions like crazy. It was going viral on Twitter the day before she was fired. Right? We don't know for sure. Then after she was fired, the day after, someone else made a video she responded to. And she doesn't even claim that she was fired for saying Christ. That's not even her claim. She's not even saying that. Just Eli.
About Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire not allowing her to exercise this thought, this free thinking without consequence. How do you feel?
Is it possible? Yeah, of course, that's a dumb question to ask. I think it's absolutely possible that the Daily Wire is an Israeli plant. I mean, look, trust me, I support Israel. It's right to exist. It's right to fight for itself. I'm not on board with Netanyahu's massive expansion, which has created, I think, unnecessary conflict and bloodshed. He is a warmonger, in my opinion. And my father, the man of the true Jewish blood, he agrees with me on that. But my father, my hero, he doesn't seem to ease up too much when it comes to Palestine, and we both have come to an agreement, which is, Hamas is holding their hostages. And there was an interesting issue in one of the last time we were live here in the chat. I feel terrible that somebody did not appreciate some of the other people that were discussing stuff, but what was being discussed was fact. And if we have to accept facts, even if they upset us, and I
wish you could motherfucking find some. If that's your stance on facts, I wish you'd find a motherfucking fact somewhere, anywhere. Because out of the probably 10 times I've covered your show, I haven't been able to find any. I've heard you peddling what other people are saying on a certain side of the internet, sure, but not a single fucking fact. I wish you'd find some. That's it for tonight, guys. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get back on schedule, which is why I've been ending earlier. I just need to start earlier. But I've been trying to end between 12:30 maybe. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. The donations, the support. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being part of this. We do have a Patreon show to make up. Yeah, I appreciate that. Love the Onewheel. Best purchase I've ever fucking made. Have a good night. Don't work too hard. Well, tomorrow's Sunday, I guess. But yeah, we'll see y'all tomorrow. I might try to come on a little bit early. We'll see tomorrow. I'm like earlier than I'm supposed to be on, like maybe hang out, play some games or something. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like tomorrow, but I'll let you guys know. Thank you all for joining us. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. We will see everybody tomorrow if you want to come back. Consider supporting the show. That's it. That is how we pay the bills over at coldbeer.fund. Consider supporting the show through coldbeer.fund. Help us keep the bills paid, and we'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night, guys. Love you. See you. Bye.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
I really don't care who anybody votes for or supports. I just wish that they had the facts and not the shit that's just repeated online because it makes their side look good.
You ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them beds, you know that stage is set.
Please let there be a world-ending wormhole on Monday.
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer?
I hope it pops off at a Publix store in Florida.
All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like fool in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next, Trump?
That's right, Alice Blue. They'll just tell us it did happen. But they'll tell us either the plan, they threw a wrench in the plan, we didn't know about it, or it did happen, it's just classified. It's always convenient. They can always say it either changed, or they can say that they had to give out disinformation, misinformation, or they can say it did happen, you just didn't see it. You don't see the things I see because it's classified.
Get the place in them beds, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some.
In this alternate reality, I hope Candace Owens doesn't get fired for saying Christ is King, because I'm gonna look like an idiot on Tuesday.
F-16, high on amphetamine, with Trump in between. Baby Owens, saluted the troops.
Nick's raised $3,952. $3,950. I think he lowered the.
What?
I thought it was set at $10,000 for the Give Sing Go for Nick.
Seriously.
But he's at $4,000, and the bar's almost full. Did he drop it to $5,000 maybe, or was it always on $5,000?
It's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss 'em off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his throat. Now things are getting rocking, he was doing so well. It's all over, hands on his shoulders, they ringing his bell. You got Frog News Network doing no damn research. They rework and copy on cocks that came first. 9th inning, 2nd string, and they acting like they know hitters. Assholes throwing bullshit, sending runs to the shitter. All this nonsense on my conscience, it's hard to sleep at night. Who the fuck is in my window with this time of the night? These parasites, these leeches, with all their secret meetings, teaching all you fuck.
Have a good night, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Believing in reason with no meaning is bullshit. Will Bird motherfuckers out here busting the grifts.
The eclipse is a calm. I hope the eclipse puts us all in a coma instead of a calm.
Placing them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started.